Good day. Welcome to The Real Truth. I'm Tommy Spina, and today's guest is Alan Forrest. Hello, Alan. How are you doing?
Hey, Tommy, how's it going?
All is well in Alabama. Alan is currently sitting on the left coast, as I like to call it, although he is a transporter, licensed transporter for the Alabama Medical Cannabis Initiative, I would call it, which I've dedicated this season to in its entirety. He has a company called Pick Up My Things, which is sometimes referred to as Pumps, Pumts, which is kind of cute. I like Pick Up My Things. So you do other things besides this, or is this company totally dedicated to the transport of the biomass hemp products? I've learned a whole new language doing this show.
Yeah, well, pick up my things. We originally started just from doing deliveries for if you need something, exactly what it was. Pick up my things. You needed something delivery from a courier business, which we still kind of do that in some smaller markets in Alabama, well, across the country. But in Alabama, we started off doing that, and then kind of gradually got into when they first released the version of being able to deliver alcohol, and then we decided to once they saw an opportunity to be a secure transporter, that we decided to pivot into that market there. Since we kind of had the infrastructure and the background and already a little bit of a relationship with the ABC board and stuff like that down there, and took the journey.
Well, journey is a too soft of a word. I think the trek, the hike. Uh,
Yes.
I feel like I'm watching The Survivor on TV, watching individuals go through the process they've had to go through to become involved in the ultimate producing and for the purposes of the patient. And what I've tried to convince people in doing this particular season is this is all patient oriented medical cannabis, and we're not going to be California and we're not going to be Colorado. We are medical, and they need to understand that we are a medical cannabis state. Do you work in other medical cannabis
We did
jurisdictions?
not. We did not. This will be our first venture into the medical cannabis transportation industry. But under the umbrella of my companies, we also participate in other in industries of with transportation from manager rental car companies to automated retail. And then we have some proprietary software called Logix Pro AI that kind of manages any of a lot of the field agents out there that are doing jobs remotely and that needs to have tracking as well as invoicing and all that stuff that you need to run that business.
How many transporter licenses were issued by our commission?
Originally, there were four. Um, well, four on the third time because there was three. There was a couple different times it came to. On the third time, it was
Yeah,
four.
on
But
in the Survivor episode 3 of of the Survivor. Uh,
right, and this go around here, it was three. I mean, the four people that was the chosen, but at this point here, from my understanding, that it's only three of us right now.
and y'all are up and ready to go.
Yeah, we're at full commencement. We were the first originals at commencement. Been full commencement for about a year, but now International Continental, their international communications, they have since then have become in the last couple of weeks full commencement. So at this point here, it's just him and I in that company that's ready to if something was needed.
So, was that you telling me that there are now only two that are up and running and ready to go, and a third one that's not quite ripe yet?
That's correct.
Okay. What was the name of that other entity?
Tyler Vans.
Okay. I don't intend to interview another uh, segment of the Alabama Medical Cannabis Commission's rules and regulations that have gone out because I have talked to a cultivator, a processor, a pharmacist, a laboratory rat. Uh, no offense to Green Health. Uh, uh, they were very good people, and Miss Syracusa and Brandon. I guess you know all these people.
Yes.
I have met them either by phone. Dr. Boyette is whose episode you will follow. So I expect he will have everyone dizzy if you've ever talked to him about the number of well, I'll go ahead and say it because I thought it was funny that this hemp plant produces so many different cannabinoids and flavonoids and terpenes that is just astonishing to me. And I commented to you that it was no wonder that it was only the female plant that could do so because obviously we as guys know that they're much stronger and that's why God made them the bearer of children. They're more equipped to deal with heavy lifting than we are, I think, on many levels. So, hats off to the female cannabis plants of the cultivation world. Uh, I don't know how.
Uh,
I don't know what happened to the male plants. What happened to the male plant? He just goes.
well,
He just gets
probably
thrown
just been a
away.
typical. Yeah, this probably been a typical male. You know.
Doesn't want to get off the sofa.
Exactly.
So, who? Back to what you do. Are you contacted by the cultivator initially and say, "Hey, Mr. Cultivator says uh, I've got some biomass that's ready to be moved for processing." Is that how that works?
Yes, yes, and sort of. I mean, yes, the
Why don't you
cultivator
just
can.
tell me, rather than me try to guess, how you get engaged in the seed to sell process?
Sure. So how that process works is once the cultivator has its biomass that's ready to go to the processor, the cultivator can either call us to deliver it, or the processors can call us to go pick it up to deliver it to them. But either or, we either going to charge the cultivator if they're going directly, or if the processor is going to handle the shipping and handling, and it's probably just going to be baked into the pricing of for them to purchase when they're purchasing their products
Uh,
or selling their
it, it,
products. I'm
it,
sorry.
it would be built into the price that the processor is charging to the ultimate
Dispenser
dispensary
to
who's going to
sure.
ultimately pass it on to the consumer, or in this universe, we've been referring to them as patients. So ultimately to the patient.
Correct.
Is there any advantage or disadvantage to you or to the processor to bypass you? Is it cheaper for the cultivator to just dispense with the transporter and go straight to the processor? I mean, ultimately, you're going to have to pick it up from the processor, I presume.
Well, the thing is that no one can move any of the product without a coach or without a transporter. So regardless of the who's going to make the call, they have to call a transporter. No one can move
Ah,
that product
ah,
without us. Not even the lab. The lab can only pick up so many amounts of grams from
right.
them to do the testing. But anything over a certain amount of weight, then they have to call us to come to distribute that and pick that up.
Okay. And is that, I don't want to blow your cover because I don't want anybody hijacking one of your trucks, but is it moved in a typical 18 wheeler type truck or a smaller vehicle? I'm just
Well, I
curious.
think I think each transporter gonna transport in different kind of mechanisms, but I think if we're moving 1,000 pounds, then thousands of pounds you would call a semi truck, but most of the time we're just kind of moving in unmarked vehicles to kind of blend in with traffic, but they are, modified with, so it depends on how extreme you went to your modifications. But the basic security modifications is that, they're going to be secured in tamper-proof containers, then as well as locked inside of containers, and then everything is GPS tracked, and routes are not given out to anyone. So it's kind of pretty much a safe transport.
And I take it that security is involved with the process as well. Uh, on your end, I mean, you're not going to let somebody drive whatever the price of that. I don't know how the pricing works at all. I guess I will ultimately find out when the product gets to the clerk. But it sounds like an expensive product for the patient at the end of the day. To me, I could be wrong, but I have talked to Mr. Shalacy, Vince, who's a dispensary that's already launched his webpage, but you can't quite access all of it just yet. It's called Callies, Callies, and he's ready to go. But I don't think the rest of the universe is giving him the green light just yet. How far away are we from the green light? What are you hearing?
From what I'm hearing, I think we're about 2.5 weeks out before we get at least something on the shelf. And then once that happens there, then obviously, the activism of, getting patients to be aware of what is available for them, like finally have a doctor and to say like, okay, this is how you proceed to get this. And then a true campaign can be ran for information campaign can be ran to show them the steps to how to receive their patient registry card so they can actually go out and purchase it. I think I mean, we already have some people registered, but I think in probably like middle of April when we'll start really seeing some real movement in terms of people saying, aha, because obviously the news will be on it. Then, people know that like, okay, this is the real thing. I'm not going to go to jail if I have these products on me, or what is the education of that we need for these products. All of that start kind of piping out in April.
Are your trucks refrigerated, or does the product need to be refrigerated?
So we have a couple different trucks. We have dry good trucks. We have reefer trucks. We have short haul trucks that we're going to be using, and then we have something that's coming down the line that we've planned that we're going to present to the commission that may be an alternative just for operational costs to keeping the cost down.
Depending on what form of consumption it is, I would guess. Uh, I mean, we're limited, and I need to make this point again because every time the news media talks about the Alabama Medical Cannabis Initiative, for lack of a better word, they always show a big picture of a big bud. And there's not going to be any big buds in Mr. Pick My Things Up trucks because we don't have flour. And we don't even call a gummy a gummy. We call it a cuboid. What? Where did that word come from? Uh, a
Well,
gelatin,
those guys.
a gelatin cuboid. Uh, it's like going to the movie theater, and instead of getting those Harbo, whatever they're called, Haribo gummies, you ask for, I'd like a gelatin cuboid, please. Uh,
That's a mouthful.
yes, I would like a gelatin cuboid. So, in any event, I can understand why you would say what you say because if you're transporting tinctures, I'm looking at a small bottle. I'm thinking of eyedroppers kind of size product. Now, may be 5,000 of them in any particular order if I'm making up numbers, but it's
Sure,
still not going to consume a lot of physical space in a vehicle. Um, in a transportation vehicle, I'm talking about, not a car. So
sure.
If we were moving flour from seed to sell, I can understand having a larger transportation device. Uh, so, um, so you get the call from either the processor or the
Sure.
cultivator, and of course, I would think the communications between the processor and the cultivator, and even the laboratory, are ongoing. Uh, because the laboratory is like telling the cultivator, okay, this is what you got, and sometimes what you got is not what you want, is what I understand from both the laboratory side and the cultivator side. And I guess the same thing could be said for the processor, uh, because once the processor gets his thing done, the lab has to come back in and verify that it is what it's supposed to be. Uh, so I think there are open lines of communication until the point of transportation gets initiated. And you don't have to be involved in all that, I wouldn't think.
Yeah, no, we because of the labs got that that amendment to be able to not have to go through the same stringent of regiments that we have to have as a secure transporter, and there's such small amounts, and I kind of agree with them and saying like it would cost me too much just to go get too little, so you can have that battle. And then when it comes to the bigger biomass stuff, then that's where we're really focused on that part there. And just to kind of go back to what you were saying about earlier about moving flour, so we do get to move flour. So we move the flour from the cultivator to the processor. So we will always be handling flour, and then we'll move
Ah,
the
I
other
didn't
product.
think about that. I
Yeah,
didn't think about that. Yeah, it has
and
to
then once they
start
process
as
it, then
flour, and then it
yes,
gets extracted either through some ethanol process or whatever they do. I can't remember from my show what exact. I also talked to a pharmacist in the process of doing this as well. So I've covered every angle, but um, uh, once they get it down to a dispensable item, you have to be the one to take it. Do you go to the dispensary and offload?
yes, absolutely. Or if the dispensary has to return something back to the processor, it's a bad product, they have to call me to come take it back to them.
Okay. A lot of moving parts.
Absolutely. But we with our software Logix Pro, I mean, I think like the way it routes out and the way it tracks everything, it's not as hard for us to for all of these moving parts. It's actually designed for heavy logistics moving to simplify it, to make sure that we're always in compliance and we're always tracked and we're always regulated.
Are you caught up in the? I understand each biomass is designated some sort of code, um, like a QR code or whatever, identifying each and every item specifically that's moving about, and it has to match from cultivator to processor to laboratory, back to cultivator, maybe back to processor, everywhere it goes. Are you involved in the coding process at all? Do you have a check off on that? Is there a check and balance there?
Well, we're not involved in terms of giving these guys the code. That's metrics that will designate that code there. But their codes the same thing. Like when I'm going to pick up, it has to match what's in metrics on from our manifest. And if it doesn't match, then I can't take that
All
product.
right. Explain that in non truck speak. In metrics, what were you saying? It has to match what. Let's make it simple. I get a
Sure.
purchase order, and it has 4 bottles of one of my Sicilian wines, and you then have to make sure that whatever is on, you call it a manifest. I think of that as like a purchase order, for example.
Sure. Yes.
that identifies what you're picking up. And when you pick it up, you have to check off that what's in whatever you're picking it up from, whether it be a greenhouse or a laboratory that a processor has, which I understand is a lot of stainless steel tanks and things like that. You have to verify that those numbers match.
Correct.
And if they
It can't be
don't,
off by one digit. We cannot touch that product
so you just leave it right there where it was and
until they fix the error. Because I'm not going to be driving down the highways of Alabama with anything illegal.
well, good thinking. You'll end up in my office. Uh, the uh, the process of getting the license. Could you speak a little bit about what all you've had to go through? I know it's opened up what I referred to as the Lawyers Relief Act for lawyers in Montgomery, Alabama. And I know the integrated licensees have not been chosen yet, although they are out there. There are 5 that have been recommended to who is now Judge Harwood, who is sitting as the mediator, but he's got to choose. He's got to hear evidence, and he can do what he wants to do. If he wants to go with what the 5 that the commission blessed, he can. If he wants to go with a different version or a different 5, he can. And then has to go back to the commission. But would you just sort of walk us through what you had to go through to get to where you are now?
Oh my God! I mean, if
If it weren't for
well, I
lawyers, we wouldn't
mean,
need lawyers.
well, for us, we did our application ourselves in house. I come from the airport business, so I'm used to doing RFPs. But I would definitely tell you this is one of the toughest ones that we've had to do ourselves. And originally, we were denied a couple of times from that. I don't know why. We don't focus on the past, but it was. My application, I think, on nearly 400 pages of just kind of breaking it down of like how we planning to transport. Uh, that to me like sucked the soul out of us. To be honest with you, I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. But then for us thinking like, okay, we're going to be great, and we're going to because we're in a category where we started out at 69 applicants, and then by the time we got to the door, it was only 11 of us that had put our packages together, or at least got the minimum requirements to get past the application phase to submit. Um, we got denied. I think we came in at like ranked at like number 11 in the first round. And then, came back and it was like, you can do the investigative hearing. We didn't think like this, from the way that it's structured, that if it's not in our favor, we was just going to be out even more. And that wasn't, viable for us at the time. And then we left that alone, walked away, came back. Then they realized Alabama had the scoring issue, got a second chance, came back in. We got ranked number 9. Got
Whoops.
denied. Yeah, because they only selected like I think 5 at that time
It's
there,
sort of
and
like the
then on the
BCS. Sort of like the BCS. Are you going to make the playoffs?
yeah, and then on that second time, they came back and said, hey, we're going to do reevaluations, and so we're thinking like, okay, maybe we got a shot, and then we came in at number 9, and they only picked 5 again or something around that number there, and I'm just like, you know what, I'm done. Like this is crazy. This is too much. And then third time around, they came back and said, hey, we screwed up again. We're going to redo it, but this time, if you had the opportunity to come in front of the commission and come and talk to us and explain it so we can meet you and you can talk about your RFP that you put in for the license, and went from there to unanimous decision and ranked number 3. And
There you go.
I said hallelujah, roll tide, war eagle.
Thank you. I have a divided audience, I'm sure. Uh, um, it goes without saying that this process has required you to invest a good bit of money to either with lawyers, research, development, however you do that. along the way. Is that a fairly accurate statement that you're at this point in time upside down and you are ready to get right side up? Is there any idea of how long it might take you to recoup in a perfect world? What your return on investment will? How quickly will
So,
it turn around on you? I'm just
And
curious.
so for us, we're a little bit, north of a quarter million that we've invested into our infrastructure and project over the years. Just waiting. So yes, of course, we're definitely waiting to get to recoup that back. But for us, with just my whole strategy in business, I'm more of a long term player. I'm just want to get to the point where my main company doesn't have to keep putting out cash, and then we can stop that bleed, and then that company can start sufficing on its own. And then over time, as the industry grows, then we can focus on, extracting profits from the business. But and initially, let's just get it to a point where it pays all the bills, pays for all the employees. Because I have businesses and other places that I make cash from. I'm not looking for this one right here to take me to the promised land. I just want to stop spending so much money when we can't even make $1.
Right.
Not even the opportunity to make $1.
Well, you're close. You're
Hey, we're
getting
close.
close.
I can see clearly now.
That sounds like something I would do. Uh, uh, so, in terms of jobs, I take it you're providing jobs for how many people? Uh,
Right now we have four drivers that signed up to work for us. We have a general manager, dispatcher, and then my partner. He's gonna be more of the ops manager, running it down there. And because I'm traveling around the country, I'm just not stationary in Alabama. So we have that's our crew there for right now, and then we do have plans of expansion up in the Birmingham area, Huntsville area, Mobile area as the industry grows.
uh, um, do you have to be subjected to uh, scrutiny by the regulators, like the pop in visit, like some businesses are exposed to? They took the Delta 8s and handed it off to the ABC board. Uh, and now there are the regulators that come into the convenience stores or the grocery stores and tell them what they're doing wrong. Do y'all have a somebody glaring at you guys and making sure you're in compliance with the stringent rules? And also, if you can, describe what some of those rules are that you cannot do, or what you can do.
Well, we're definitely under the rules of the AMCC, that's for sure. And then we do, I think, if I'm not mistaken, without looking at the handbook off top of my head, I think we're due for two announced and one announced minimum inspections. And then
Or did you say two announced and one unannounced?
unannounced, correct.
I dropped by.
When Yeah, just to make sure everything is on the up and up. But for us, it's just for us on transporters, it's just making sure that everything is secure. We have our security logs. We're not open to the public, so I'm not worried about some random Joe Blow coming into our facility. We have to make sure that our security is on point, our cameras are working, that we don't have any blind spots. For us, we have to have safes. We have a Debo safe, so I don't think anybody's going to be breaking into that or snatching that out the wall anytime soon for us if they tried. But we're so close to the police station. By the time they have can hit the first couple combinations, then you know they'll probably be there catching those guys.
Well, I hope you're right. I'm not going to ask you where your facility is located because I respect the security aspect of each and every part of this process. And I never ask anybody that I've spoken with, well, where's your grow or where's your processing happening? I just don't think that's information that the public should be aware of. I would
Sure.
think in a small communities, which a lot of the dispensaries seem to be located in small communities, uh, that, you know, bad news travels fast. What's that song? Uh, it's going to be known what's going on down the road if it's happening in a small community because people talk and they will talk about it. But you have to also balance that against the security aspects of what you're transporting and
For sure.
the susceptibility of the bad guys who are up to no good trying to do something to thwart that effort. Um, so who is regulating it? Does the commission have its own set of investigators? I didn't ask John that, John McMillian. He and I have been talking with one another for probably 4 years. When I
Oh,
had my
nice.
initially when I had my TV show, he's a great guy, and I understand both him and his assistant are excellent at the perseverance to all of you guys and gals. I only talked to one gal that was out there in the laboratory world. I'm sure there are more. We know all the gals that are in the cultivators um, world, but they're all plants. Uh, so, you know,
Hey,
Antoine sings to his plants.
you know what? I, I I think all women like a little serenading.
I wonder, I wonder if he buys them a margarita, if he doses them
You
up
know,
with a margarita.
I think I'll start tripping if they start singing back to him, and I'll be like, I think we got an issue here.
He was a fun interview, and if I'm not mistaken, he didn't he put me in touch with you. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, he definitely connected. He said he did that we should connect.
I begged him. I said I cannot get a transporter to call me back. But you were kind enough to do that. And I'm very grateful for that. So, what do you foresee some problems that could develop along the way that might put a stick in the spokes of moving forward? Everybody's pretty much convinced that uh, Vincent Shalacy's dispensary is opening up soon. Uh, I don't know what's going on around the rest of the state. I only know what's going on around here, but you probably have a better handle on what's going on around the state.
Well, from what I've been told, you know, Vince is probably definitely going to be the first one, but immediately, like right after him, GP6 Wellness is going to be
Where are they?
popping up out there. They're based out of Birmingham,
Okay.
and and I met with them when I was in Birmingham a couple of weeks ago, and they're pretty much ready to go. It was just everybody. I think for the most part of it, everybody was just kind of waiting to see once the lab got online, because then you can say, okay, I can stop this bleed. Because otherwise, you know, you're going to pump more money in for a situation that you don't even know when you can actually operate.
Yeah. Yeah. What about South Alabama? There seemed to be an inordinate uh, concentration, I shall say, of licensees in that part of the world. And I don't exactly know why that happened or how that happened, but a lot has to do with the municipalities, I suppose, because some municipalities don't want any part of this. Some counties don't want any part of this, Shelby County being one of them. Um, but did you notice a high concentration of licensees, no matter what the level of involvement, were located in South Alabama? And do you have an explanation for that?
Well, it goes back to what you were saying. Like, you know, Alabama is a Bible Belt state. You know, we recently, over the last few years, finally can buy beer on Sunday. You know, so it's just going to
It's true.
take a little educating and progression for, you know,
A-
for them to
after
be
after after 12 o'clock noon.
yes. But I also think that once they start seeing these tax dollars, they're gonna be like, hey, 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 hey. What I meant to say was,
Yeah, yeah. Well, I know the state. I hope my fear is that we price the patient out of the market where they can't afford to acquire that which they need because we're not going to have insurance benefits. It's still Schedule One, uh, even though all the chatter about reducing it to Schedule Three. The fact that it's Schedule One is in this day and age. I mean, I can understand it back in the 40s and 50s when all the reefer madness was going on, but
Hmm.
the fact that it's still scheduled as one is just unfathomable. We have north of 40 states, to use your expression, that in some form or fashion are dispensing medical cannabis or recreational cannabis. So, Alabama's a little late to the game, but nevertheless, uh, it is about to happen. And I don't think people believe it, but I do worry about the affordability of the ultimate product. And I guess that's a better question for Vince, is that or some other dispensary. But
Well, I can just say, speaking from California experience, right? We've been through the medical process and then we went recreational. I I hear
California
you what you're saying.
started out medical only.
That's correct. Yep. And then got to recreational. We were like one of the first states. So between that, Washington and Colorado, I think that for the insurance has never paid for it, and it still became a thriving market. People are going to find a way. I was just watching. I'm one of these history buffs and just watch how a lot of different things in life. And I was watching this stuff about Yemen and how they got this thing called cot. That they're in a position where they're a famine, almost famine stricken country, super poor. These guys are spending $800 a month on cot versus even just getting their food. So what it tells me is that when somebody wants something, they're going
What
to find a way to get it.
what do you mean by cot? Is that
Uh, it's a it's a it's
COT?
a it's a no, it's a yeah, CAT, but they pronounce it cot or something like that. I have to send you a link to that to show you. But it's just the leaves like stimulant, which is like of caffeine that
Oh,
everyone from the
it
mother from the
it's something to ingest in Yemen. It hasn't
yes,
made it to the
but
states.
no, 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 no. But it was just saying like the psychological of like, even though you're saying like, oh, we might get priced out, right? But these people can't even afford food and they really spend their money on cot, right? So if someone really wants something down there, right? If it's $59, $69 or whatever, right? They're gonna find a way to get that product and say, okay, I may not go be able to go to the buffet twice this week here. I'm gonna save that so I can get the medicine that I need versus saying like I'm going to go over here and indulge and then be in pain. You see what I mean?
Right, right. It's sort
So
of the
I think it's like a
mentality of build it, they will come.
build it and market
Yeah.
it.
Well, you don't have to market, do you? You're not in a marketing. Well,
Well, I don't have to,
your
I don't
marketing
market.
is over. Your marketing was of yourself to the commission.
Well, we don't have to market in terms of to the public,
Consumer.
but to the consumer. But however, we are still directly tied to the consumer because if the consumer ain't buying, we ain't transporting.
Hmm.
So we need to have the consumer consuming so we can have a job.
Supply and demand. It's everywhere you go.
Absolutely.
Um, well, I appreciate you taking the time to be with me today. Uh, I know you're out on the West Coast. I know we're a little bit off schedule, but I'm hoping that this show will hit the airwaves next Wednesday. Um, and then I'm going to wrap up with a lawyer that is very well versed in the entire process and sort of sheds light on what you were referring to about all the hoops that you had to jump through. and the number of times you had to jump through those hoops to get to where you are now. So I know as a business person, it's exciting because it's opportunity. It's at least on the horizon, you see growth and a profit center ultimately for your company. Uh, and at the same time, provide for the patients that need um, the product that they're not able to treat whatever ailment they're seeking medical cannabis for.
For sure.
I think people have a misunderstanding about what's going to ultimately be out there. It's not like party time, you know. It's
Oh, that's
medicine.
for sure. Yeah, that's 100% sure. And I don't even know when Alabama will even be considering going recreational or providing flower. But it's not. It's this is definitely not Woodstock.
No, no, you talk. Somebody tell you how old I was. Uh, that was my era. But back then it was beer, and you could drink at 18. Uh, in the Vietnam world, a pot is what we called it. We never heard of the word cannabis. It was just pot, uh, and it was barely breaking into Alabama, at least from my perspective. It was the late 60s, like 69 maybe, before it was even seen. Uh, and now, of course, it's been transformed into a substance that can be manipulated via the gazillion cannabinoids and terpenes that are put together to produce the ultimate product uh, that's designed specifically to either treat an ailment or take you in, if it's recreational, to take you to a place. Uh, it's that fine tuned. I mean, it just wasn't like that in 1969. Uh, so the entire process of cannabis and hemp uh, has just changed dramatically over the years. You know, I had a case one time where somebody was selling hemp jeans. Now, this is before we had the 0.3% rule, and they got charged with trafficking. They were selling jeans that were made from hemp. Case
And
got,
got charged with trafficking?
yes, yes. That's how far we've
Wow.
come. I mean, 2.2 pounds of blue denim equals a kilo.
Wow. See, Alabama, and this is in Alabama.
Only in Alabama, right here in Hoover,
Oh my,
Alabama.
oh my God, oh my God. You know, that's the part. See, I love my state. I love being from Alabama. I think it's one of the, I'm glad I grew up there, you know, but oh my God, they just, some of those things, you know, I can't wrap my head around. And tell me, I'm telling you, like I'm a practical kind of guy. Don't give me no long equation of all that, because I'm just going to pull out my calculator, you know, but if you give it to me simple, I understand things. And then you telling me he had hemp jeans and he got a trafficking. I'm about to go send this guy to federal prison
No, not
for some
federal.
jeans.
It was a state court case.
Oh
But
my!
it was,
But still,
under the trafficking statute in Alabama, if you possess, and it's possession based, in excess, well, 2.2 uh, uh, pounds equals a kilo uh,
right,
of marijuana, it equals trafficking. Whether you intended to sell it or just smoke it. I call it the Keith Richards defense. It's hard to get, so I buy a lot of it at a time. I'm not trafficking. This is for me. I'm going to use this. Uh, Keith got caught in Canada, I think, with a pound of heroin. And his defense was, look, It's hard to get. I got a lot of money. I can buy a pound. So anyway, that's another story for another day. Where in Birmingham did you grow up? I'd like to know.
Oh, no, I grew up in Dothan.
Oh, Dothan. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have
And
worked
it,
down there. I'll be quiet. It's a tough. I went to law school with the Valescas, so
oh yeah.
hello to Doug if he's listening. I doubt if he is. But in any event, thanks for being with us. You've been listening to The Real Truth. Thank you for joining me today on The Real Truth. My name is Tommy Spina. I hope you enjoyed today's conversation. I hope you will follow or subscribe to my podcast and listen in to the next episode. If you found it valuable, please take a moment to rate it and review it. It helps us to reach more listeners that care about the issues that matter. Share it with a friend. Stay engaged and remember, the truth matters. I'll see you next time.